Yeah, I just figured I'd get that out of the way because there was one of the dailies for that I think he came out yesterday. That's like win 8 matches or something, or play 8 games or something. So I'm like, well, that'll last a couple of days.
Yep.
So I just figured I'd get the other 3 done because it was like play 3 games as a warrior and win 3 games. Done and done. And I don't know why, but I always get MVP when I play Diva. I like to explode. Durr. Very fun to play Diva.
I know she's also a pretty popular game actually in Overwatch 2.
I've heard differing opinions about Diva and the actual Overwatch game. I know a lot of people just don't find her fun to play. I mean, yeah, she's handy and able to do a lot of things in the game and is pretty, but she's not as fun to play as other characters. Like she's good. She has a toolkit and everything, but she lacks fun. It's like playing a hunter in WoW. It's almost always this. Well, playing a marksman hunter, I guess. Staple rotation can't differ from it. One button macro standing in a corner. Ugh, why am I even playing the game?
Yeah.
I mean, if we could put timer macros and everything, I'm quite sure that the hunters are just going to be like, sitting there sipping coffee and just standing still. Like, oh, look at my DPS, as they have like this automatic macro where they're pretty much botting. Thank God we don't got timers. Or a timer macro command kind of thing.
Well, pretty sure that's why.
Yep. Maybe the only thing you'd have to pay attention to at that point is, am I standing in fire? No? Okay. Yeah, I figured I'd try something on the Horde side for a little bit here, because I, got done leveling that Rowlet druid thing up, and then I realized, I'm like, wait, am I actually going to keep this character? Because I don't really want another druid on the Alliance side. I don't really even have that many over here on the Horde. The 2 that I have on the Horde are stuck on realms that I can't even get them off of, and I know are just pretty dead realms now with Quel'Dora and Sinjin. Technically 1 realm. So I went, fuck. I'm like, then I started thinking, what do I want on the Alliance? No, I have everything I want on the Alliance, period. Not one way or another in one realm or another. It's just like, don't have everything I want on the Horde. I don't even have a monk on the Horde. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play a monk on the Horde then, because there's not really much difference between the 2 and everything. It's not like you guys are gonna play at level 20 with me on this crazy adventure.
Sadly, probably not.
So I figured just go over here. Try to think of a name. I wanted to get one of the new Pokemon names and everything, and I started going down the list, and I'm probably going to be a tank monk on this one, and they spew fire, so I'm like, okay, what spews fire? And it's a female orc, and I just named it Slazzle.
There you go.
I went down the long list of like, is this taken? Oh, is this taken? Oh. At first I was thinking Orc Warrior, but I'm like, yeah, it might be a little too standard. Plus I do have Horde Warrior, it's a panda. Even though it's on a realm I don't like, I still have it. This was just something I don't have. I don't have a Horde Monk.
Right.
You back, or what were you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm back. I was just, it was there's actually several cutscenes that are going to be coming up for Death Knight lore. So
Oh, alright. Just let me know when you have them.
yep. Yeah, that's been one of the most interesting things with this expansion is all the class specific lore that has actually been pretty interesting so far. It's been rather enjoyable.
Yeah, I just got a little more tired. I just got tired of trying to play so many alts at one time earlier on in the expansion. It's like, okay, I had 3 tunes I consecutively played on, which was my Hunter Druid, and it was my Paladin, but then I switched that to Priest.
See, and that's honestly the biggest thing I've done in this expansion is I haven't played any alts until now. I just started playing on my Death Knight last week. I mean, it's just been Hunter, Hunter, Hunter since the beginning. Otherwise,
Yeah, I have no idea exactly how they sped up the other things, but and then really they made it so that artifact powering up the artifact. I lost that first month of being able to play, which was December through January, and then trying to catch up after that 1 month of being behind was ridiculous. I mean, I was on Evie's tail when it came to the artifact knowledge and artifact levels and everything. I think I was only like a level and like 10% behind her. But after that, just missing that 1 month and everything, she was like levels 50 something, and I was still like level 36.
because of the artifact knowledge. And now that it's up to level 40, it's something like... Actually, what is it at now? Artifact knowledge 40 increases it by 4,000,000%. That's why it's so much easier for alts to catch up now, because what used to get you like 200,000 and 300,000 is giving you 20 million.
What can I help you with?
So
Yeah, I'm
it's
still
really
going to be
easy to
really
catch
far
up.
behind because the max I had before was like 25. I think I found like I got like 3 tunes to 25. And now I gotta figure when I get everything back, I'm still going to be really ridiculously far behind.
Not as much as you think. Again, just because of the catch-up mechanics that they have, you're going to be able to hit artifact knowledge 40 like ridiculously quickly, and then you're just going to catch up. And the reason why you won't fall as far behind as you think is because there is a soft cap now. As soon as you reach a certain level, there's like next to no reason to even get any additional artifact power. I mean, that's still something you can dump all of your artifact power into because you do get technically 1% of a percent better, but that's it. So
Oh no,
that's
more
why.
like a 20-30% more increase. Like there was like the difference between like 36 to like I think 57 was like the cap or something. At the
Yeah, that's
time,
not.
there was like almost a 1% better difference for every point you got. So you could get like an additional like what 21% better.
Yeah, that's not the case anymore. They've retuned that because they knew it was a problem. So
Yeah,
you're not as far behind as you think you are.
I was just like, oh my god, I'm trying to keep up the artifact power at that point and everything. I think the highest I got on the character was like 40. And that was my druid, and I just went screw this because I constantly grinding artifact power. I wasn't having fun anymore. There wasn't anything for me to. Basically, it was just artifact power grind on 1 tune. Then after I was done, it was pretty much grind old raids for money and to pay off WoW time. And
What do you need?
Well, see, and that's the other thing is I've pretty much given up on that. It's with the price of the WoW token continually going up because, oh, by the way, you can buy Destiny with WoW tokens now.
what's Destiny?
Destiny 2, the new game coming out, because it's Activision Blizzard, they're adding it to the Blizzard app and for PC, and so you can actually buy it with those tokens you can buy with in-game gold. So their price is just absolutely skyrocketed. It's practically impossible to get enough gold in a month to pay for one now that it's close to 100,000.
Well, I wasn't just paying for 1 month and everything. Every month I would actually earn like 3, basically, months worth of gold of things. That was, I mean, right before I actually just said no more, I'm just done playing WoW and everything. I technically had 3 months still of WoW time on my account. I just didn't because everybody wanted me to transfer. I was working up to the point where I can do this transfer thing where I could move one of my tunes off of Garona, so I could move was my druid. I would move my druid off Garona, so I could move my druid from Proudmoore over to Garona, and then I'd have to move that druid from the realm I was placing it back over to Proudmoore, so I could actually have everything straightened out. I really wish Blizzard would come up with just a tune swap thing where I can like I have this tune over here and I have this tune over here that are actually the same, like they're the same levels. I just switch, the servers, just swap the servers between the two.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I got a cutscene right now, so.
All right.
I'm actually surprised with how dark they're allowing this some of this lore to get. It's surprising.
I figured because it's no longer the cutesy little old MMO that we knew. It finally got turned. I do like the story and how much it's changed. It's just at the same time, what else is there gonna be after all this?
That is the ultimate question on everyone's mind right now: is what's next?
It almost sounds like we're going to be trying to take on the Void Lords.
I'm not sure if we're actually going to enter the Void. It's I think we're still.
Well, maybe something involving old gods and then the Void, because we still got to do the old gods before the Void, because the Void Lords made the old gods. So they're technically even further up that little.
See, and again, I'm not sure it'll ever get to that point, because the only reason the old gods are a problem is because of Sargeras. I mean, that is the ultimate, bad guy that we have to deal with in the end.
Yeah, but the Void Lords now know of our existence. How much they want Azeroth, that's a different question altogether. That's actually a good question enough on it is how much do the Void Lords actually care about Azeroth? Because from the sounds of it, they have a universe that's so much bigger and full of shit.
Well, I mean, the fact that it's a Titan, an actual Titan, that's going to come up again sometime soon. That I'm not sure what role that's going to play, but
Yeah.
That's a pretty literally ground-shaking revelation for them to bring up in this expansion, and it hasn't been touched on since. So, what's going on here?
Well, considering all the Titans are dead as well, so...
Well, every other Titan.
Yeah.
This one, apparently.
All the other Titans are dead, is what they brought up and everything, but at the same time, I still wonder, okay, yeah, the Titans were powerful when they were collective and everything, but one Titan that we're basically asking, it depends on its knowledge. I mean, they know they're pretty damn smart, but this thing would it still be the equivalent of a baby, or what?
Well, see, and that is, again, one of those big, huge questions that everyone's been asking is Azeroth an original Titan? Is Azeroth a new Titan? Is Azeroth, what level is Azeroth on as a Titan?
But yeah, it's just the biggest question. How big do the Void Lords just want to get rid of Azeroth, if they even care that much about it? Because they could be like, you know what, we got enough of the universe to worry about here. I mean, I can't imagine, ruling an entire universe and everything would be easy and peasy. That one little planet, even if there is a Titan and all that and everything, at the moment and everything would be so much of a threat that, you gotta throw everything we got at it. Considering they're just kind of hanging back as it is at the moment because of Sargeras.
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I'm off to torture a Bronze Dragonflight member. I'll be back in a minute.
Yay! Is it Chromie?
No, it's Tizormu.
Which one was that again?
He is the dwarf or gnome at the bottom of Wormrest. He's
Oh.
one of the vendors in Dragon Soul. Anyway, yeah, gotta go take care of this BRB. And now I get to go in the Ruby Sanctum.
Oh, boys.
Probably to take on the Ruby Dragonflight. I think they're going to try and kill me.
What, do you need Alexstras's bra or something?
No, apparently there is some ancient dragon that we're going to try and...
Resurrect?
Yep.
This quest would have been much more interesting if you were just going after Alexstras's bra.
This is interesting. Record of their history. Spare who you will or slay them all. It's literally telling me I can just come in here and murder anyone I want. Okey-doke. It's a modified version of the Ruby Sanctum raid, though.
Well, obviously.
I honestly didn't expect us to come back here, like, ever. Oh, wow, the pool's not even here anymore. It's just floating lilies. That's funny.
Yeah, I had a feeling that we'd actually end up going to like old raids just in general on this expansion just because of the craziness. I can't remember what class has to do it, but they have to go into like the middle of like the wetlands.
Well, there are some professions that have to do it. I did like old raids for skinning,
Yeah.
but I haven't had to do it for a class yet.
I really didn't get into much professions because nobody would help on the profession quest to begin with, especially if it involved a current dungeon.
Well, yeah,
You
just kind of have to sit in queue for a group at that point.
Yeah, well, I did. I healed in several times and for normal modes and everything. Particularly for alchemy, where I had to go and fight some fat, ugly demon imp mother, and I kept on asking people if they could help me, we can just quickly go do it. And several of the times I really wanted to get it done. It'd take us less than a second. If I went and opened the door, everybody else would leave. Because nobody wanted to do an extra boss.
That's sad, but yeah.
I literally had to wait for a friend who's not actually even mentally all the way there and everything to come and tank on her level 102 monk at the time. To actually go, because now we're a tank and heals combo. To actually get the goddamn quest done, and because I couldn't get that quest done, I wasn't able to craft elixirs. And on the realm that I was stuck on, I mean not technically on Proudmoore, I literally had to pay somewhere among 40k to 50k just for 4 to 5 elixirs. And that was the tune I rated on. It's just well, fuck all this. Basically, I was trying to supply both Evie in the guild, as well as my personal self, for how many I was going to need for when it came to my raiding needs. when it came to hunting down all those herbs and everything, because I literally burnt myself out, and I was actually more lucky that I had all that time to do all that shit. Between gathering around 30k gold a week from old raids, raiding, jumping on 30 different tunes just about.
Well,
Actually, I think it was more like 38, but between 38 tunes, going through all those old raids, and this is before I even started doing the Pandaria stuff, so I kind of skipped down on quite a bit there. Then I also at least put in 5 to 7 hours just herbing and mining for stuff. Then another, and I guess I'll chuck another thing up there for like meat collecting, because nobody else wanted to go collect meat. And also, these aren't even, the tunes that I'm doing this on aren't even my main tune. This is like my paladin at this point. Which I'm still laughing that my paladin even got a legendary to begin with, because I'm like, I'm going to be sad, because at this point I don't care about this paladin for raiding at all. And I know I'm going to eventually get a legendary on it, and I'm just going to be disappointed, because it's not going to be helpful for anything I need, because that paladin, I had to switch its specs between tank and DPS so often, just to actually get shit done. And I got a pair of braces that did absolutely shit. All it did was like allow me to use my the spells that I can those hand spells like Hand of Freedom, Hand of Sacrifice. I got like another charge. Woo. But the only thing it's handy for is PvP. Honestly, I've only done Raid Finder once this entire expansion, and then last expansion I only did it twice, and I never actually got I still don't even have an achievement for Hellfire Citadel on any difficulty.
Well,
it's just I've never touched Raid Finders.
I've never really had a problem with them.
But earlier on in this expansion, I got all those items that were pretty decent from, at least for what I needed, which is a shit ton of crit. All my items I got from the World Quest pretty early on, before these raids even opened up, and then I was looking at the item levels and the possible gear that I can get from there, and I had more crit on. I was just basically looking at mostly the crit for my druid, because the more crit I got, it was like a nice little balance, because I didn't have to worry about the extra tick if my heals were just healing a lot more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the argument like Evie has with their paladins, and it's like I found that argument to be the same thing with druids. If you go crit, lots of things actually get interesting. And I only had to use like 2 spells, like ever. Rejuvenation and Wild Bloom. But that was before, when I had quite a bit of high item level on Evie, but then I lost a month and she gains her item level back up, and then it's been going up ever since.
Yep. She's like 920, I think, now is what she said.
Yeah, and I'm still like 40 levels higher now, or something like that.
I'm hovering around 900. I'm at 902, so. No, I understand a lot of that, because there are certain things that I don't do. I haven't done Raid Finder yet. I don't think at all this expansion. Well, no, that's not true. I think I did in what was the first tier? I don't even remember.
Roll Nightmare?
Nightmare? Yeah, Nightmare. Haven't done anything since. Didn't do Trial of Valor, didn't do Nighthold. I think the only achievements I have in Nighthold is because I got into some streamers thing that Evie found. I don't know. It was, she said, "You're on, come do this." I said, okay.
Yeah, I got it. The only times I did it was in Emerald Nightmare 2 earlier on in the expansion. I know I wasn't going to get anything. I think Evie was on some ult at the time. I think she was trying to gear up Tyon, and I just ran in because, or something. Was it Tyon or Druid? One of the two was just like, I can just give you all the gear that I don't need, because I didn't need anything. And again, that was mainly to help her gear up her ults, basically. That was the only time and that was only once. So the only time I ever even did LFR in this expansion.
Yeah.
I've actually been seriously considering uninstalling WoW and installing Elder Scrolls Online to actually play. Because free to play and kinds of crazy, well, it's a one-time pay for the game rather than they don't have any subscriptions is what they're saying. You're still there, right?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
I just hadn't heard from you in a while. Making sure if anything you weren't muted.
No, I've just been listening. I'm also in the dungeon right now, so kind of distracted.
Speak, friend.
But yeah, I don't know much with what I know. They started out with a subscription and went to free to play, but I'm not sure if that's still the case.
From what I hear, it's still the case because this is a guy that actually does videos that I watch. It's mostly I watch him for Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and other things, but he plays Elder Scrolls Online, so he keeps on talking. It's like more people should try it. They completely revamped the game a long time ago. It's no longer how it was at the beginning. Which the only reason I dropped that game is because I couldn't. That was like right when I fell out from the. They stopped paying for my subscription so I can do videos for them, which is actually sad because they didn't want me doing videos for them after I've already like covered like a leveling guide from 1 to 30 and would be one of the first leveling guides for that game. Then they're like, no, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, companies change.
And then there's Pokemon, which the only videos on my channel that actually seem to do any good right at the moment are the shiny hunting videos, which I laugh at because it's like, oh man, I got this shiny, I got this shiny. I come back after like 2 months and I actually look at them and like, why the hell is shiny Tippy got like 200 views while I was gone?
No, it's the things people are interested in. Is that rare stuff?
Yes.
And next Pokemon games that everybody's talking about, which I am kind of meh excited for because I can wait for it because I want it to be as good as it can be.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely fine with waiting. I don't know why people are.
It's a completely different game.
It's
the same. It might be the same world that we traveled before. It might be changed. It's like Black and White 2 in a way. Which honestly, I only played once when it was in Japanese, when I had my Japanese version, and then I never played the English one all the way through. So I only half know what the hell anybody was actually saying. So I basically bypassed the whole entire story of Black and White 2. And it was also mainly because I was in for the card game at that point. But that's also when hacking started becoming really too much of a problem. And the current toxicity of the Pokemon community is just, I don't know.
I think Verlisify said it best. They're thinking that this normal cheating thing is fine, and people that want to play the game the way it's meant to be played are elitist. What?
Yeah, and
That is the definition of backwards logic.
yeah, and there's a lot more that's just so messed up. I mean, even the YouTube community for it's like all messed up because he's like the only one that's
YouTube
actually.
in general is screwed up right now. YouTube is a horrible metric for anything anywhere.
Yeah, to pretty much do good on it nowadays. I mean, the Dolan squad with like 5 million viewers is suffering. they didn't make any. I mean, there was a video. I think I put that up too somewhere. But yeah, they didn't make anything over the last 2 months for money. And
People need to realize that YouTube is A business, and B, a service. They're going to change, they're going to evolve, and they're going to do things that are going to be better for them, not necessarily creators. There's one game theorists. He has a mini series going that he's continually doing called his YouTube theory videos, and he breaks down the changes in the algorithm. Okay, so I mean it's like people that want to make money on YouTube need to adapt to these changes instead of whining about them. And if you're just going to whine about them, you're not going to make money. Period.
Exactly. I've always saw this as YouTube as a hobby in a way, a place to put your video. If you do, yeah, you can make money off it, but I don't think it should have been the main thing that most of these people do. I mean, I think the mistake that a lot of these people have made is they actually turned it to their full-time job.
No, honestly, I don't think that's the problem. I think the people that do want to make it their full-time job, they absolutely can. The way for doing it is in place. And you can even do it on pretty much any kind of content you want, as long as like not promoting violence or racism or stuff like that. You can do it on any subject matter, as long as you're able to do it every day or almost every day and for a long time and for a lot of people. And the problem with that is a lot of people. Right now YouTube is more set up for things that are already established, like the Rooster Teeths and the news station, things that are already making daily content, because that's just the way they've always done it. So of course they're going to be better off in this because they have the viewer base that wants to enjoy that kind of stuff. It's no longer about views, it's about view time. It's no longer about, I uploaded this week, it's about I uploaded today. And if you can't keep up with that, then yeah, don't make it your job. But by the same token, there are YouTubers out there like there are several Nerf community YouTubers that I follow that have made it their full-time job, and they upload twice a week, and it's their full-time job. It all depends on what you do with what you have.
Well, I'm just pointing out that it seems like as soon as a lot of these people turn this from like a hobby to a job, their attitude towards everything changes so much that their content it changes / suffers because of it as well. So it just like, oh no, it just like they change in general, and a lot of the times it's that change that a lot of people start to go all out on a rave about, and they try doing other little things, and a lot of times other people don't like it when their favorite YouTubers start doing little things that are different.
See, and that is the problem with internet-based entertainment, with web-based entertainment, is if you're there, and I've actually seen this with a YouTuber I follow, ZNA Productions. His entire initial career was making weapons from common things. It's scrapsmithing. I don't know if you've seen anything on that.
Not really, but it sounds like MacGyvering.
Yeah, actually, that's another great way of putting it. It's basically taking things that are more commonly available and turning them into other things. And his thing was making these weapons. He made knives out of wrenches and swords out of not balsa wood, but wood planks and razor blades. I mean, he just did all these crazy things.
Is he the guy that took the bumper off of a rundown car in a junkyard and made it into a buster sword?
No. That is probably the Scrapsmith. That's a different channel, but same concept. But I mean, that was his entire initial, YouTube career, was making these weapons from nothing. And now he's put out a couple of videos of, like carpentry. He made a desk out of, a piece of plywood. I think it was I think he made a decent desk out of a single piece of plywood. I mean, it was actually a really solid build, and he did some really clever things with it. But he's getting all this hate. It's like, no, you need to make weapons. I'm here for the weapons. I don't care about this other stuff. And it's just like, did you even see what he made? I'd love to have that desk in my room. That's an amazing thing that he built from nothing. And people are like, no, I just want this. It's like, well, the expectations of these YouTubers from certain segments of their community is completely ridiculous.
And one thing I also noticed that MatPat covered, I remember him saying this in a video not too long ago, is that, okay, the like ratio and comments have almost nothing to do with the videos anymore. But
No, it's all about view time.
Yeah, but the dislikes also seem to have an effect on things. At least if you've actually seen a lot of Lursify's videos, he gets knocked down because like almost anytime he posts a video, it gets like, because there's a bunch of people that just log on his video and just dislike it.
Well, see, and that's actually why I think that might be a perceived thing on his part, because again, what MatPat said is the algorithm doesn't account for that. If what the system sees in that instance is it sees a person logging on to not watch the content. The dislike doesn't matter. It's they're not watching the content. That's what matters. And because and it is sad that he has this this big group of people that are just there to hate on him, and I think that is tragic on so many different levels.
And that's mostly like a lot of the he stuck his neck out against a lot of the things that like was starting to corrupt Pokemon to begin with, like the Smogon community, which was basically Pokemon unofficial play. Like everybody started following this unofficial rule set, which is completely unfair to the main principles of the game, because they exist within the game, and people got confused between the official rule set and this other rule set as being the rules. And when they went to go play in the rules and everything, it's like, oh, this guy, this judge doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And they literally got into freaking fist fights and where people got seriously injured. So there's obviously been a problem with that other thing, and he pulled up. It's like, the official rule, the small gun rule set isn't actually even official, and it's more about the way how the small gun cuts things off is in certain tier brackets for their Pokemon to be. Pokemon are in certain tier brackets to be, and they rate them, and then they ban ones that they think are too OP. Basically, the problem that they've created is that they're constantly on this constant bandwagon of breaking this is banned, this is banned, this is banned, simply because it's like, oh, this can't be countered, but the algorithm they're using seems to like want to put in like this Pokemon can have like 12 different stat values, 12 different abilities, and like every possible thing in its move pool at any given time, which is kind of it fails to calculate a bunch of things into it, and which is a big problem to begin with, especially when you're trying to build your own Pokemon League system, basically. And he points this out to a lot of people, and then people like give him shit about it just because they like to play Pokemon this way. And he just points out that this way is not the actual official way. That's all he really says, and people give him shit about it.
And I think that's a bigger problem with, again, if you're trying to make a living making online content, you're going to find those people that hate you. And unfortunately, you're going to find a lot of them that do it just because they can, but then you're going to find a lot of them that do it because you're against what they want to do. So instead of going to find content that is in line with what they want to do, they just stick around to hate on what they don't like because they can.
Yeah, and here's the other part about that particular system is that they're the ones that also created the hacking system that allows them to just pop out Pokemon in general.
Yeah,
and a lot of people just like to cheat in Pokemon. They just want the Pokemon there in front of them now, so they can go and play games rather than to put in the effort and energy to which actually it doesn't take that long. The only difference is like if you really want that shiny Pokemon, which is supposed to be rare, and like, look, I put in the effort to get this thing, but they've completely ruined shiny values, which is starting to ruin a lot of my fun with the game in general, because I got a lot of shinies where I just didn't have the ability to record just because I was out doing stuff. And I don't feel like the videos I put out about my shiny captures are legit enough for me to actually say like I got this legit, like, because it just looks like me throwing like my phone over a camera or something. I mean, I try to look like I'm to show that I'm all legit all the time, but even throwing a lot of the thing. Let's just put it. The last time I went to a tournament and everything, and I pulled out 2 shinies on my team, I got so many judge calls over to have my team checked just because I had 2 shinies.
And again, that's one of those things.
And I understand, because I'm a legit player. I understand, like, why people would be suspicious about it. It just makes me not, even when I get the shinies, it makes me just not want to play with them because of that. I might grab one shiny for the entire team, and that's it.
Yeah, and I get how that's frustrating on both sides, but that's just one of those things that it's because it's on a platform that is too easy to do things to. And whether or not they choose to fix that is, on them, and if they don't fix it, then it's just going to be a problem. Here's
my problem that I see with it, is that a lot of the judges that they got running the thing now and everything, they're the ones hacking and giving out Pokemon, and basically judges have been changed, because at least the newer judges from when I was a kid, and at least and played a lot of Pokemon, we had like a lot of these older adults and everything in like their 40s and everything. I'm quite sure that all of them retired and just stopped playing, and they originally were playing for like their kids, who are now like my age anyway, so they're pretty much adults on their own. It's this new generation that came in, were raised the games and had the Game Sharks and all that. And I mean, I keep on bringing up the example of the yellow version, at least in hometown of Polson and everything. When that yellow version came out, our Walmart bundled it with the Game Shark. You cannot own a yellow version without a Game Shark.
Yep, and unfortunately, that's just the people. Hang on. I'm dying a little. Hang on.
Sounded like it.
Ugh. Anyway, that's just a problem of that is a deeper rooted problem than just in video games, unfortunately. So that's just one of those things that it's just never going to go away.
Yeah, piracy and all kinds of things. It has a bunch of roots and everything. It's just like a lot of people just want things for free because they don't want to pay money for, especially the things they really enjoy.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's people don't value possessions. They don't place the kind of value that my parents and their parents placed on having something. And it's not just in video games or video game content and all that stuff. It's art. It's all these things that people are like, well, you should do it just because you can, and then just give it away. And it's like, do you realize that it takes time out of my day and effort out of my being to accomplish these things? I mean, people don't value other people's time or other people's anything. It's just they just want it because they want it, and they think that if you produce something, you should do it for the fun of it, and that's it. Period. End of story. You do it for the fun and for the enjoyment, and then you give it away. And that is just not true. I mean, there's so many indie artists these days that have grown up with this mentality. It's like, they do these commissions and things for these people for $10, $20. It's like, you're giving them professional quality art on professional quality medium, whether it be digital or physical. That stuff costs money, and your time costs money, and you're giving a $20 piece of art for something that is worth at least 5 times that, just because of the time and effort and everything else it takes to put into it. But they're like, but why should I charge that much for it? And that's the other problem, is people don't see the value in in that kind of stuff anymore, and it's sad.
Yeah, I also wanted to point out something that, again, Valersify actually put this out kind of recently, because this is something that really affected the Pokemon game, particularly the newest one when it came to Sun and Moon. Is that before it came out, there was a bunch of fake hype because of all these fake things that were going out and everything. Like, people were putting, like, a water-type Arcanine.
Oh, yeah. See, and that's the other problem, is the internet and its hype train.
Yeah.
Is ridiculous.
The fakeness between this hype train gets so crazy. So
And
they're doing it again now, and the problem with that is they're creating false hype, and they're actually literally to start to destroy the game, because people get the game and they're like, "Oh, this is not what I saw about it," and then they stop playing. I mean, a lot of people Sun and Moon had so much hype; it was one of the best-selling Pokemon games ever. And then it died.
I think rightly so. I think it's honestly, it's my favorite Pokemon game. And it's because of the content, it's because of the Pokemon I get to catch, it's because of the story that they had. People whine about the story so much. I'm just like,
the story was
are
good.
You freaking kidding me?
I mean, everybody keeps on saying, I hear like 5th gen's like the best story. I personally think 3rd gen still has the best story because of all the crazy bullshit, and that's when Pokemon started getting real, like, rather than just doing something like silly, like try to catch all the Pokemon and take over the world. This is like global disaster shit, like, oh crap, we're gonna flood the earth, this is it, we're all screwed. Or, oh crap, we're gonna dry out the ocean, we're gonna turn this world into Mars, depending upon what game you played.
Yeah, we are not in red and blue anymore. It is not, oh, Giovanni and Team Rocket, and that's it. Oh, what are they doing? Why are they bad people? They just are? Okay, I'll go battle them, and oh, that's it. Okay, game over.
And
it's like, where is the character building? Where is anything in those games? And people are like, I want to go back to that. It's like,
mindlessly button mashing, because
sure,
nobody
cool.
actually ever really read the game to begin with, because you were just too young and didn't care. You just wanted to beat up that other guy's Pikachu with a single scratch attack from your Bulbasaur.
It's just again, it's one of those things that where we place our value has shifted, and unfortunately, value is placed on how much we have instead of what we have.
Okay, but this is where I was getting everything towards here, because it's kind of like these people that are putting these fake Pokemon out and causing this fake hype are also trying to, they're mainly trying to do this for like YouTube views and whatnot, so they're kind of cheating YouTube at the moment by putting false information, because it's like, oh, they keep on saying leaks. Leaks is when, the main company did not actually intend to release this information, or it wasn't from the main company source, basically. The main company and everything, and then they're going off. And it's like, oh, this leaks this. Like right now, they're like, oh my god, Mimikyu is gonna get a new form, and it leak confirmed. It's like, no, he just in the anime he accidentally broke his disguise and he had to use a paper bag for a while. Is basically where it's going off of. Yeah, the form change would actually be interesting to see, but the main problem that everybody's throwing out here is that they're pretty much spreading this as if it's confirmed, and because of that, they're getting their YouTube like the views and spiking and all that, and they just basically want to become like hardcore YouTubers and whatnot. But the fact that they started everything off on a lie and almost it pretty much destroyed the last game because of how much hype and lies that were out, that a lot of people aren't going to trust the new game. Already we have problems because there was like someone who the game was announced 2 days later. Someone said it was like some gaming reviewer for one of the magazines said it's just going to be the same game, and it's this bullshit from them. Literally to the point where Game Freak actually had to come out and said that most people were just pissed off that it wasn't going to be a game on the Switch. Because everybody's like, oh, we need something for the Switch and whatnot. And
they've said they're making something for the Switch.
Yeah, they had to come out 2 days, like 3 days after they announced Sun and Moon. They had the two, like Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. They had to actually go and confirm, like, yeah, we're making it for the Switch. Because a lot of people went hardcore toxic and got pissed off at the main company, and the announcement for it, oh my god, it almost looked like that guy was like sitting there like on a desk. It looks like he was drawing something and everything. Couldn't actually see what he was drawing, but he just looked like he was like tired, and he was like been sobbing in the corner for like 3 hours before he actually got on the camera.
Yes, this is again one of the biggest problems I have with the internet is it's on the internet. I saw it on a YouTube movie. I read it on Facebook, so it's true. It's like, are you kidding me right now?
When it's from a bunch of people that are basically lying and cheating on YouTube just to get views, because they want to be the next PewDiePie, basically, and they're gonna do it through Pokemon. And then
there are exactly two sources of information I trust on the internet: what I read and what I research. If I read it, I researched it, and if I didn't research it, I don't believe it.
I always take everything with a grain of salt unless it's from official sources to begin with.
I even take official sources with a grain of salt.
Yeah, Blizzard.
They try and overhype things just as much.
Yeah, Blizzard has also taught me that. Nintendo and Pokemon have actually been more reliable to me when it comes to these kinds of things, but...
And I apply it to everything too. It's not just with video games and stuff. There are several tech channels that I follow that they're always talking about the next video card and the next processor. And most of them come out and say this is the rumors from this supposedly leaked slide deck from this company that it doesn't even look like their normal professional language anyway, so we're not believing it. But this information exists, and it's interesting if it's true. But we're not betting on it. So wait till we get the thing in our hands and show you our real world test benchmarks and all these things. And it's just like, welcome to the internet. Not everything you read is true.
Yeah, I just look at the book because the actual Pokemon people have actually not done wrong, and I actually laugh because there's some people that even talked to Verse. I pointed this out in the videos that there's like, well, when is Nintendo gonna leak? I'm like, you freaking fool! If Game Freak can't leak a freaking thing, because when they actually announce it, that's when it actually becomes canon. There is no leak.
Seriously, companies don't leak things, and that's there's actually a running joke with AMD right now is that every time new information comes out as a quote unquote leak, that's what it is a quote unquote leak. It's actually just information that they have decided to release in a informal manner. It's not an actual leak because it's from the company.
Yeah, and it's like, what is the definition of a leak? And people just, particularly in the Pokemon, and then a lot of people start bashing on Velorsify for actually pointing out and talking about these people, like these scumbag people. Like, there's some people that are literally. We all know the piracy and off YouTube and stuff. It gets crazy at points, but there are people that are watching and then dubbing over the Pokemon thing and just throwing the official Pokemon videos up on YouTube, even if they're not going to be taken down within a few days or however long it takes them to get taken down. They still got a lot of traffic to their channel and a lot of friggin' subscribers because of that, and it gets crazy.
Well, to a certain extent, I don't believe on hating on other people, just kind of as a general rule of thumb. Even if what they're doing is wrong and stupid and ridiculous, I'm not going to waste my time talking about it. And if he wants to, spend time and address these kinds of things, and that's how he decides to make videos, then that's fine. But to an extent, they have a point. Why should you focus your time and energy on what other people are doing? Just do what you do and let them do whatever they want to do, whether it's wrong or good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I wouldn't waste my time.
I think it's more along the fact that all he's doing is bringing attention to these. It's like, hey, these guys are doing that, and just like, oh, a heads up, this Mimikyu thing, it's almost entirely fake because there's actually some people that are going through links that are like, yeah, these are stopped because mainly because of this Pokemon thing, because there was so much of a down spiraling thing after the game actually came out, and a lot of people just hate Sun and Moon to begin with, which is
And
saddening.
people are entitled to their own opinion as well. If they got a game expecting something and they didn't get it, then they're entitled to their opinion, even if it was based on a lie. That is honestly their own fault, not anyone else's. So, if they're basing their entire reasoning for wanting something on a lie in the first place, then you get what you pay for.
Yeah, but the fact that they keep ripping on the Pokemon Company as a whole, I mean, pretty much it's kind of leaked into, not leaked, but kind of seeped into the Pokemon Go community, because a lot of people in there got pissed off because of all they were cheating, hacking, all that stuff, doing spoofing and all that. They can't do it anymore, and then they got pissed off. And so Pokemon Go started going down spiral, mainly because of the hackers and stuff to begin with there, and mainly because also Niantic couldn't handle it because of their server issue, because a lot of these people were taking server space.
Honestly, I'd say about 75 to 70% of Pokemon Go's problems have been Niantic's fault. And for one reason or another, whether it's because they didn't think their servers would get hit that hard, whether it's because they thought that, the cell towers could handle it for this recent event kind of thing, for whatever reason, it's been on them. The hackers and the spoofers, they can hate on it all they want. It's not going to change Niantic's view. It's not going to change Game Freak's view about how to run the game. They're going to run it the way they want to run it. The people that want to play it that way are going to play it, and the people that don't won't. But the vast majority of the problems on why that game has done so poorly is Niantic's fault.
I have nothing to defend them against on that. I'm just pointing out that their servers, because it's somewhat leaked into the Pokemon main game series games over the last generation, is that server space costs money, and
oh yeah,
the fact that they're doing things to basically create false. People were basically. There's a lot of people that actually just decided to mess around with their DSs, and they literally turned all their DSs into basically R4s, their 3DSs, as a way to do it in a way. Like, how I'm not even sure if you know what an R4 is, slot 1 device.
Nope.
Basically, it was a device that allowed people to play ROMs of video games as thoroughly as if they had the official game themselves in their hand. And some of the Pokemon games, like in the later generations, actually put in a infrared feature into the thing, which actually screwed over the R4, which is kind of nice. But once the Nintendo actually released the 3DS system, people realized that a lot of the data and things for that rely on the SD card, and so what they just did was just rewrite the code for the SD card, and then they were just downloading a bunch of things off the Nintendo Wi-Fi servers, and as if they had credits, basically stealing games from Nintendo.
Well, pirates are going to find a way to pirate. But
the this is where it comes in. What is maintaining the main games series is that they had like a service where basically we all would be. Where if we connect to the internet, we'd see like a bunch of people just passing by, and we'd be able to just connect with people almost instantaneously, as opposed to the new Sun and Moon games where we actually can only have like 50 loaded and whatever at the Festival Plaza, and people.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And the main reason they did this is because the servers were overloaded, and the numbers that they were getting for how many people were connected to the servers did not match at all the amount of games they sold. Basically, there was a good. There was basically, from what they were saying, was that there was about 20% more people on the actual servers than games they sold in total.
Yeah, I remember this now. I remember reading this. Yeah, it was. And again, that's one of the biggest problems with piracy in general is people think that it's not a big deal. It's not a crime. You're not stealing anything real.
Yeah, but they are, especially if they're using these server-based systems that are. Especially, I mean, considering this is an extra service, you're supposed to be paying for this when you buy the game to begin with, but they're not paying for the game. So not only are they using the game to hack illegal Pokemon, the game themselves, they don't even have a legal copy of the game.
Yep.
and yet these people are still bringing these DSs and whatnot. I mean, a lot of them have been shut down. I mean, a lot of people got mad because this a good fraction of DSs that were actually sold as come they released the new 2DS system was actually because almost I think a total amount of their things was over 45% of the DS systems they sold between whatever date to whatever date was actually completely disqualified for online play now because people just pirated it with them or were caught manipulating the game, the software.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're going to do stuff like that, then yeah, you should lose your device because honestly,
that's against
I find it interesting because that is a breach of the terms of service of using it in the first place because that is currently one of the things that people don't realize is once you buy something, you're buying a license to use it in a specific way. You're not buying it. You're buying a license to use it.
And that's a giant thing of why people try to justify hacking and all this other things because it's like, oh, you're saying I can't just buy the game, but I can't buy this disc and I can't go and throw the disc off or something or anything. That's illegal. The cartridge. And what you're doing, okay, if you wanted to damage it, yeah, you're free to damage it. But to load it into a computer, rip the information off, the code off that thing, and use that code for anything more than just plugging it into your game system and play it as a video game, like the creators intended it to be, then you're technically breaching the terms of service, and technically are then violating like all kinds of laws.
Yeah. And that's where the whole DMCA thing. There are a lot of honestly there are a lot of things in my opinion that are ridiculous. I don't think it's piracy to copy a movie for my personal use on my computer. That's not piracy. It's my disc. It's my movie. I'm only using it for personal viewing, and that's one of the terms of the license is personal viewing only. You're not allowed to show it at a big theater or in a big event or anything like that. It's for personal viewing. I don't think it's piracy to copy it to my computer for personal viewing. I think it's piracy to copy it to my computer to sell it and to alter it. That's piracy, but just to watch the movie whenever I want to watch it.
Especially when you already own the movie otherwise, because you're just making a backup copy of that movie at some in a way.
But again, that's where there's that gray area. People say, well, if you can copy it to watch it, why can't I copy it to do whatever I want to it? Well, it's like because that's not one of the things you can do with it under the license. Viewing it in its original thing is under the license agreement. That's part of the license agreement is to view it, is to use it for personal viewing. Altering it isn't.
Yeah.
So that's why that's it. Again, it's one of those really gray areas, but honestly, I don't think it is a gray area. I think there is a very clear distinction between what piracy is and isn't. And when you're using it for your personal use, it's not piracy. Even if it's, again, I don't have a problem with people copying their video games to download to their devices and play off their devices, so they don't have to carry, a dozen cartridges around with them. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. They can do that. But when they alter it and start cheating and selling it to other people, that's piracy, plain and simple.
Yeah, and then there's always like stuff because I know this comes up with anime a lot. Like but a lot of the sources that we end up watching, those like free streams places on like line and whatnot. Honestly, I watch a lot from Crunchyroll, which they're official anyway. And when I could, I actually always bought a subscription to Crunchyroll. Otherwise, I just kind of cycle around with new frickin' email address with a bunch of these people that are like, here's a code for a free month. But,
well, yeah, then that's one of those things that you can game the free trial thing.
But technically, there's a lot of people that just record these things on like a VCR kind of thing, which otherwise we wouldn't have a record button on a VCR if there wasn't something. If everything was against the law totally, but we can't sell what we record technically because it's supposed to be for our personal viewing.
With streaming services and screen capture being a thing, I understand why a lot of people are really hesitant to, what they put heavy DMC restrictions on there for a reason, because why should we make it easier for, people that are doing this? What is really annoying is when you make it 10 times more difficult for someone who just wants to watch the stupid anime.
Especially when, you could have a lot more. I mean, for me, when it comes to anime, I have to like really be into the anime to begin with, because there's a lot of anime which just completely.
There's so much anime out there. Oh
there's so much
gosh.
to begin with, and there's also a lot of ones that hit a lot of my peeves, like the art style, story arc. Like if something becomes way too. Like, if it hits one of my peeves, I just don't want to watch it anymore, and if it just bores me. Like, what was that one not too long ago? Oh, he had, like, something in his eye, he can tell people to do whatever he wanted, like, but only once.
Code Geass?
Is it Code Geass? Yeah, I was thinking it was Code Geass, but I wasn't sure that was it. But yeah,
Lelouch? Yeah, Lelouch.
Lelouch, yeah. Okay, so yeah, this is Code Geass. That one, I watched that series like 3 or 4 times because I had a lot of friends that really liked it, but I can't. It bores the hell out of me. I'm sorry. I can't get into it. The story just seems completely blah to me, and I think it has a lot more to do because it's so political that it just bores the hell out of me.
Yeah, it is.
And then on top of that, I mean, that's one of the things, my peeves. How political does it get? Because I usually like fantasy-based stories where something gets magical. It doesn't have to always make sense, or if it does have to make sense, it has to be sci-fi. Those are the 2 things that hit me, and then you throw in mechs. I don't really like mechs. I mean, I've already expressed my problems with mechs.
Well, see, that's one of our opposites there. I love
mechs. I know there's a lot of people that like. I'm not. It's just my biggest thing with mechs is that they generally end up falling into like these few categories. Like one, it ends up being a political game, so that ends up killing a lot of things for me right there, because it usually ends up hitting. And that's what Code Geass ended up happening, is they hit both of these peeves, and just like, I'm done. And then there's the other one. There's the one that I like, which is the one type of style is where the mechs get overly crazy, everything's stupid, it's all insane, and this is like what Good and Lagan hit. It's completely crazy, it's insane, it's sci-fi, yeah, magic bull crap, it's fantasy. I just liked that. I just loved it. I still love it. I watch it every so often just because I need a laugh. I need something. I need that element in with it. And then
honestly, that's one of the reasons I love that anime so much. After I watched it, is there are just so many moments that make you step back and think, "What am I actually watching right now? What of this? Nope. Okay, just go with it. Okay."
Yeah, that one is a really good one, but. And then there's also the ones that are, oh, I'm so good, I do all this thing, like the mech itself is good. It's super powerful. It's just it can rip apart any other thing in the galaxy, and like that. And then I sit back and realize, the only thing the star about this thing is the actual mech, but they try to make it all about the pilot that's doing it. When it's like anybody can jump into this goddamn thing and do exactly what he's doing.
That's the problem I had with Big O. I didn't really like Big O because he had literally the biggest, baddest thing. And they tried to make it like he was it's like, no, dude, you're robot. It's all about your frickin' robot. Anyone can pilot that thing. Your butler piloted it for 5 minutes and did just as much as you did.
Exactly. I mean, this is like where so mechs have literally fallen into pretty much these categories. Most of them end up being I'm political bullcrap. I mean, what was the other one? Guilty Crown or something, I think it was called, where there was like a lot of mechs involved in that. It had a lot of sci-fi fantasy craziness into it. I watched all the way through and I enjoyed that a little bit more, but it's not one that I would go back and rewatch simply because it got really crazy. I mean, basically this kid can like turn people's souls into like weapons and use them to fight.
Yeah, not familiar with that one.
But there was also mechs, and there was a space virus that was turning everybody into crystals.
Nope, not familiar with this one.
Yeah, it had some mechs involved with it. They weren't the main, but they weren't the main like weapon of the series.
Gotcha.
It was, if anything, there was this kid that would destroy these mechs and completely rip them out from this one girl, who I think was a clone or something, and her soul was like basically Excalibur.
Interesting.
And you can like manipulate gravity and all kinds. I mean, there was even this one kid. His best friend was like a photographer, and he basically could take out his soul, and it was like a gun that was, I want to call it Photoshop the gun, because he could like take whatever part of reality and just delete it. He can like delete walls, make them just not exist for a while. They'll go back when he puts back his soul, but it's just funny. It's just like, I'm just gonna Photoshop the hell out of this. Yeah.
One of my favorite mechas isn't even really I guess it's still technically a mecha, even though they're ships. But Outlaw Star, one of the main reasons I love it is because it's very piratey, outlaw-y. You know that.
Yeah,
okay,
that I had no problem with, and I loved Outlaw Star, and I still love Outlaw Star. I haven't watched it since I was like, goddamn, like 13, but
yeah,
I still,
when it was on Toonami.
I just remember like liking the hell. I don't even think I fully watched everything. It's actually one of the ones I should go back and actually watch. But I loved Outlaw Star, and
there's a reason I own it. I mean, the characters, Sokka and just the Aisha, cracked me up. Both of those girls just cracked me up. Like the entire series.
Honestly, there was actually a while there where I almost thought Outlaw Star and Trigun were the same goddamn story. It was just, same world. They were just different stories from the same world. And I'm like, oh wait, no, these are completely different worlds.
Yeah.
But Trigun was kind of like had similar bullshit and funniness and like that. I mean, those old animes that would throw in were actiony packed, and then they throw in this. I mean, Cowboy Bebop was technically somewhere along there as well.
Yeah, see, that's another one that I wouldn't really consider a mech. I mean,
it's not a mech. I mean, it was more sci-fi than anything else.
Oh yeah, definitely sci-fi, but still a really solid anime. One of the mechas though that I get a lot of guff for liking. I still like Gundam Wing. People think that there's too many whiny characters and it gets too political, but I honestly, as political as it gets, it's not the kind of political that bothers me. It's nothing like Code Geass.
I know, but it still gets me. I mean, like, second half of Code Geass there for, like, the first, like, 7 episodes there in the entire series, I start to hate like hell, just mainly because, what's his name, Ponytail Kid, because I never really got his name. It, like, started really, really just making me want to punch my... That was, like, one of the only times ever I really wanted to just punch my computer screen, just to see if I can hurt this guy, even though he's not even real. Hey, you bastard, and then, it kind of cleans up there at the end, but when the first time I watched it, oh my god, I managed to make my palms bleed from my nails being dug into them.
Yes, and that, honestly, that kind of brings up another thing with me. There's a lot of media out there that I take guff for liking because it doesn't have any of this, or it's to this, or all that kind of stuff. The Aragon, the movie. I still like.
Hold on a second. Alright, so Aragon the movie. Yeah, I know.
And I like it. I like it despite the fact that I've read the books, and I read the books first too. But the reason I like it is because I disconnected it from the books. That's what I do with a lot of things that are based on this, or such and such. And
after like the third Harry Potter movie, I started like disconnecting because I was still in that trance. It's like, oh my god, they're putting these books to movies, and I know the first movie was pretty similar to the book, but not quite, because I understood like things, but when I got to like around the third movie where things started like they were completely skipping subjects, I was like, aw. And I was also starting to get a little bit older, because I think I was like, 11, 12? I don't remember how old I was, but when the first Harry Potter, and I read a lot of books when I was younger, and I think Aragon was one of the ones I read I read like when it first came out, I didn't realize there was a sequel until like the movie started coming out. And I really wanted to finish the second book, but I never got to finish it. And I think I was at a part where his like cousin was getting a dragon or something.
That never happens.
I'm not sure if that if anything, because it's been a while since I've actually was able to even look at those books to begin with. I mean, I think I was sophomore in high school around that point, and that was right before my appendix exploded. So.
Oh, fun. But yeah, that's just one of those things that I've always done when I watch a movie is I disconnect it from reviews I've read. I disconnect it from, even opinions I've heard from my friends of, don't go see this, or it's this, you're not going to like it. The first Transformers, everything said it's a glorified, Chevy or GMC commercial. I'm just like, that's like 20% of the reason I want to watch the movie in the first place.
I actually like the first
cars,
Transformers a lot, but and I'm not one who I have problems with mechs and I have problems with cars just in general. I don't like racing animes as well. And then there's that one racing mech anime. Oh my god, that's where I drew the line. And was like, you know what? I don't think I like these. That's when that was like one. And you know what? I was actually a big fan of Captain Falcon and everything until like I started seeing the F-Zero anime, and I was just like, oh wait, maybe I don't really like this. Hold on.
The biggest, honestly, one of the biggest reasons why I don't watch a lot of anime is I have a really hard time with subtitled anime. I like enjoying what's going on the screen. I like knowing what's going on the screen. I don't like having to read what's going on the screen. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I don't watch a lot of anime is there's not a lot of dubbed anime out there, unfortunately.
And then people get tired and have peeves with the dubs because there's only like 20 voice actors or whatever in English. And I actually have no problem between dubs and subs and for the most part. I mean, a lot of the times, if I really like an anime, I'm gonna watch it in both. Technically, let me take the Neptunia series for example here. I mean, there's a lot of things in the Japanese ones that are the entire game and series in general is based off references to other video games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the characters themselves are based off PlayStation, Xbox, Sega, and frickin' what was the last one? Nintendo. So, it's already a funny little idea to begin with. Considering it's also made by the same people that did Data Live, which I also liked. I mean, literally, it's the same people. The designs are even actually taken from the same goddamn thing. I mean, Crazy Eyeball Girl, the Crazy Clock Eyeball Girl is also one of the main goddesses. She's for PlayStation, for crying out loud. They just changed her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Kept the same design. No, not really. Well, they kept the same idea of body type, I guess I should say. They changed like her clothing and everything, so it's not really even the same design. But hairstyle and whatnot. But, okay, my point is the Japanese one will have Japanese reference that everybody will get in Japan. The Americanized English dub has a lot more that people would understand because they make, one of the things is, there's a part in the thing where their main enemy, one of the main enemies from the first game was called R4. It's spelled kind of Frenchy, but it's actually referencing to the R4 system I told you about earlier, where they would just copy games and play them for free and everything. Her ability, because of this, is to literally copy anything she touches, power everything. She's trying to steal the goddess's powers by copying them.
Gotcha.
And becoming like the Ultra Goddess, True Goddess, whatever. But they literally make like references to like Skyrim, Arrow to the Knee, and everything. That joke literally pops up in the anime series, and I'm just like, yes.
ごめんなさい。ナスの匂いがちょっと。今頃気づいたか。お前の弱点をつくためにこの農園を買い占めたのだ。ここがお前の墓場となる。
Just, I smell eggplant. Finally noticed, did you? I bought this entire farm to take advantage of your weak point. It will take you down like an arrow to the knee.
You have my attention.
Mhm.
For someone who spent over like 3,000 hours in Skyrim.
Right.
Yeah, so and there's just like a lot of things. There's references that you just don't get from unless you actually watch both. And the fact that it's actually the main character is voiced by the same person that played Rika from Digimon Tamers is just amazing to me because you always thought of her as the Sundara stuck-up a loner type and everything. And she makes fun of the PlayStation girl because she's such a loner and stuck up. Because I'm just like hearing this with that voice just makes me laugh.
Come on, Renamon. Why would I want to waste my time with these goggleheads?
Yeah, well...
She walks through the crowd like she's the only person in the world.
I wish... Oh, forget it.
You only think you're alone, Rika.
Blah. Why you always gotta be such a meanie all the time? See, now this is why you don't have any friends.
I do too have a friend.
Whoa. For real? What's her name then?
Huh?
Every time.
Right. Yeah, and that's... But again, it's just one of those things that there are a lot of anime out there that I want to see that I haven't because they're not dubbed.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one everybody has is Japanese Goku. They can't they're okay with the fact that he's voiced by that one old lady, but they can't stand Goku's voice in Japanese, a lot of people. My brother being one of them. And I keep hearing things like from the Danger Dolan crew, Hellbent. I heard him say the same thing. Like, he just can't stand her squealing, basically, for all the scream sequences that they require. And I think they were talking about Dragon Ball Super in this particular instance. And people just get upset also, like, I guess for Dragon Ball Kai, the main actress that played Gohan's voice in the English dub didn't come back for the series. So they had to get a new voice actor, just in general. I don't know who they got, but the people complained about Gohan. I'm like, but what's the point? You're getting the thing that you've wanted for a while, but it's just because the voice acting's not. I mean, give it a chance, watch it in full before making it. And that's actually my biggest problem with watching anime in general. I want to wait for the anime season to be completely over so I can actually binge watch the entire series and not have to wait for that goddamn cliffhanger. Like, oh my, because used to watch anime when they came out, like on the spot. I mean, I always look forward, but then I realized I didn't end up finishing a lot of series because they either didn't finish, or B, the site that I watched them from no longer was around, or whatever.
Well, honestly, Dragon Ball killed that for me completely because it's like, stay tuned for the next 25 minutes of a 5-minute. Wait, what? This was a 5-minute timer. Why is this 9 episodes long? I'm done.
The biggest lie in anime. 5 minutes till Namek explodes. Yeah, that was a peeve for so many people when it came to that, and it's one of the biggest jokes that runs. I think that was the longest battle sequence. It still has the record for like the longest battle sequence. I think it was like, was it 20 episodes or so? The fight between Goku and Frieza.
Something like that, yeah.
So, yeah, Dragon Ball at least doesn't do like what One Piece does, where it's like you have a full-fledged, fully awesomely acted out theme song that's just like a good 4 minutes of the runtime, 3 to 4 minutes, and then you have recap that from the last episode, which is kind of funny because why the hell do you have like this 4 or 5 minute recap? And then the end song is also about another 4 minutes on its own, so you only actually get about 12 minutes of content out of the 24-minute runtime.
Well, that's again one of those other problems that anime has to overcome in certain things.
Yeah, like times and time runs and catching up and everything. So it's just it's just one of those. If anything, it's an anime trope. But I'm main thing here is I say give dubs a chance. My original reasoning for actually wanting to study Japanese and the language and everything and taking those Japanese classes was actually Pokemon. Mainly because I wanted to play the Pokemon games in Japanese, which I do all the time now, so...
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Diva's pretty much my Japanese game in general, so I made that back during the Christmas thing, and I thought that was only going to be like a really quick playthrough, then delete, then do everything all over again, but no, I've actually pretty much stuck to that thing, and I was actually looking at how many eggs I've hatched on Diva, just because the shiny chance is like ridiculously higher. I'm like, wow, I think I've hatched like 4,000 eggs on Diva. And I'm like, well, my main game technically only has like 2,500 or something. Well, it looks more impressive and less like I'm hacking now. And yeah, so I only got like a basic understanding of Japanese mainly through that, but I guess when I'm using it constantly, it sticks a lot more. And I know I would not be able to hold a conversation at all. It's like a one-way street. Like, I can understand what you're saying, but I have no idea how to reply.
Yeah, that's just because you understand and can take in context a lot better. Holy crap,
for
there's a lot of
me,
stuff in this chest.
I end up watching a lot of subs regardless, regardless and if I'm actually reading the subs. I've actually noticed a few times when the subs have been horribly, horribly wrong. Like, there's a subber for Baka to Test, where there was... What was the sub thing? Where they say the sub was Mistress or something when she was saying One-chan. It was like, that's not what...
That's weird.
Yeah, that's not what it means, but... Okay, and then they abbreviated the summoner test system into something else altogether, and I'm just like, what the hell? Okay, I'm just going to replace this phrase in my head with what I know it's supposed to be, but the hell? That's actually one I didn't find that much difference between the English and the Japanese, because the English voice actors they got, granted a lot of them were in a bunch of other things. I mean, the main pink-haired girl was also like voice acts in a lot of other things. What was the other thing? I had an example in my head and I think I forgot it already. Oh, she also plays the English Mocha from Vampire Rosario Vampire, or Vampire Rosario, however the order that goes.
Another one I never got to finish.
And I know a lot of people have problems, again, overusing voice actors, but you know, they're not so bad when you actually, like, if you've watched the original, you got the context, you understand how the voice is supposed to sound, like the emotion that's being thrown out at it. They copy that emotion pretty well, even though they might have to use like a word or two more and extend the clip just to get it out in English.
I'm not gonna lie. Hearing Rukia's voice coming out of Yoko Littner was extremely jarring at first. That was not what I expected.
You know, I've never actually watched the English dub of Guardian Lagann. I didn't know they actually dubbed that. I gotta actually put that on the watch list now.
It's been dubbed, and honestly, I thought it was dubbed very, very well. But yeah, again, it was just one of those things that initially, it was very jarring to hear reserved, conservative Rukia out of Yoko. It did not compute for like 3 episodes.
That reminds me of another one, because this chick plays a lot of voices, but the original one I remember her from was playing Konica from Negima. She's like the dean's granddaughter and whatnot, and she has this really high squeaky... She has a nice little vocal range where she can play cutesy evil or just really cutesy and high pitched. But she's also played Stalking from Plant Panty and Stalking, which was actually a really crazy
Really want
one.
season 2 of that. I want season 2 of that so bad.
Yeah. She played the English one. I was actually really impressed because that was kind of like a interesting throw out, and then I actually found out that she plays the little witch girl in Vampire Rosario as well as several other things that it's not coming exactly to mind. But every time I hear her, she's like one of the ones that I know, and I'm like, oh, this is actually going to be interesting, because whenever I hear that, I always picture Konica in my head. Like I think that's kind of where a lot of people come from here, is that they hear that voice actor and it's like they think of it on another character. I guess another one is I think Vic Mignogna is another one that plays Edward Elric.
Oh yeah, he does so many different things.
He also played Maka's dad. I think his name was Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Soul? No, it was Soul Eater. Something.
No,
it was something simple.
It was Oh, what was it? He was Death Scythe. I mean, he was.
He was Death Scythe, but he actually had a name that actually was like, oh, that was his name. I thought that was something tied, but he had a name. But Vic Mignogna played that guy's voice, and it was just listening to it. I mean, and honestly, my favorite character in that series is Stein.
Stein was so jarring. Oh my gosh. It's the way they introduced him was just like, how could you do that to these kids? They're freaking kids.
But he's supposed. I just. Oh my God, Stein was just mad and awesome. The mad scientist.
I'm not gonna lie, Stein was very cool in that. He was.
I like the episode where he's gonna dissect the rare bird. It's like, isn't that thing about to go extinct? Yes, that's why we must dissect it. And he's just like sitting there with a crazy eyeball, like, are you kidding me? And he's about to dissect it. He has it all tied up in them. And Maka's like, Sarah, I think Soul and Black Star are fighting the new kid outside. Maybe we should go and watch. Oh man, I gotta do my job. Okay, I guess we should. Come, Maka, since Soul's your partner.
Yeah, that's one of those series that I actually was surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
And then Soul Eater not. Wow. Just wow. If I recall also
I've only seen clips of it, and it's like I don't want to see a Moe in Soul Eater. I'm not going there.
It actually reminds me, because the main girl always reminds me of Azusa or Azunia from K-On! And that's actually funny, because she was the base character design for the characters that Kodomi and Noir from Neptunia and Data Live that I brought up, the PlayStation girl. They took the character design from Azusa from the K-On! Series. And I laugh a little bit more because they actually, for the English voice actor, they actually took Nepgear, Neptune's little sister, which is actually funny calling her little because she's actually bigger. It's just the longer-haired Neptune, Purple Heart girl, and that's the voice actress for her in the English dub. Is the same voice actress for for Azusa in the American dub of K-On! And actually, that was also the K-On! Itself was actually an interesting thing, because the K-On! Is actually a Japanese play on words for what would be known as the Light Music Club. And people wouldn't get that. They always got confused and was like, why is it just K-On!? What does this mean? America just will never know.
Well, and see, that's another one of those animes that I'm not entirely sure about, so I haven't really done anything about watching it.
I like those series every so often. It's kind of like, I call it the Lucky Stars kind of series, where it's like a slice of life, chatty anime, where they just talk about subjects and reality and how funny life is, basically. And they're fine every once in a while. Just don't throw like 3 or 4 out in a season, because then it gets really dry and boring. I will admit, I throw those on like when I'm gonna play a game and I don't really want to watch what I'm actually watching. And I do recommend Lucky Star in English a lot more, because you're not gonna trying to read that really quickly is ridiculous, and they did a really good job at the voice acting in it. They actually went out of their way to actually make sure that they did what they did in the Japanese version, where the main girl Konata, anyway, Konata is voice acted in Japanese by the same person that dubbed Haruhi, and Konata is actually a giant Haruhi fan.
Yes, that I do know about that.
And then they went out of their way to actually get this for the English version as well as what they got, and she agreed, and she's the same voice actress for the English Haruhi. So I kind of thought that was cool, and it kept to the Japanese and everything. And actually, Lucky Star was another, just the way the emotions the voice carries, the squeakiness, and how the pitch. I feel like at least Lucky Star actually covered them, at least for the main girls. The side girls kind of threw things off there for a while, but particularly with the Konata's little little cousin, that one threw me off because I thought she would be a lot more energetic than in English than what was thrown out there. But I still have no problem with it. I mean, it's like the one little out of the entire series, but I don't hold it against the entire series as a do not watch.
Yeah.
But K-On! Kind of follows that exact same thing where it's just a bunch of girls chatting basically the entire thing. And every once in a while they'll throw in a music video, and for some reason these girls, like... I think the main girl is hilarious in K-On! Because she's pretty much like one of those airhead types, like doesn't really get what's going on. Just kind of like a Luffy in a way. Just wants to eat, doesn't really get what's going on, but for some reason they're really good at what they do at like fun little skills, like in her case playing guitar. She's actually like some kind of crazy. She has perfect hearing pitch. She can actually tell when her guitar is off and tell you the exact like out of tune how out of tune it is. She hears a song, she can actually play it by ear all over again, but if you ask her to go slowly and explain the chords she's using, she'll be confused as hell.
Interesting.
It's just like, wow, Yui, you're amazing. At the same time, you're just hilarious just because you don't know how amazing you are.
I think that in and of itself is a hallmark of a lot of these anime characters that people fall in love with, is the ones that really don't know what's going on or how, this is happening to them or
They're
whatever.
badass, but they're not smug about it. Because most of the time they don't even realize exactly how badass they are.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Han Solo effect, if you want to think about it. I never asked that question until I've already done it. Is that even possible to go light speed while inside a jumper bay? Or a docking, whatever that was from the last Star Wars movie? I can't quote it correctly off the top of my head.
Yeah, that.
I am forsaken. Our time will come.
Yeah, that was a funny moment.
It really was.
Shop, browse. Smell.
Oh man, made it to level 20. You know what I actually find funny is that for some reason some of the gear that I've gotten before, which I know was like more like level 40 gear, is available for me to use at level 20. Because that leather gear set that I like a lot, that only seems to come out in if you go into Eastern Plaguelands, Western Plaguelands, and some parts of the Badlands. For some reason, I can wear all of that stuff at level frickin' 20.
Oh, interesting.
Indeed. Oh, sweet. I can have that.
Arrivederci.
Too bad my shoes don't match at the moment because I can't transmog my shoes because I'm just wearing gray shoes. Anyway, we kind of turned everything into like an anime rant there. Our original thing was like cheating in YouTube, just in general, where people were... My oh my, how conversation flows. And that's how come I sometimes like anime about it, because they'll talk about one thing, and that's lucky star for you. They'll talk about one thing, and then 5 minutes later, they're on a completely different subject.
Well, that's why there's so many podcasts out there that I listen to that are seemingly random nothingness. Sometimes that's just what I like listening to, is just people having a conversation.
And throwing their 2 cents on.
That's honestly, that's one of the podcasts I listen to from Rooster Teeth is from specifically the Achievement Hunter channel, and Michael Jones is the producer, and he was talking about, you know, this how these people talk about, it must be nice to have all that money. He's like, why do you care? Because it was specifically referencing he just bought a collector's edition controller for the Switch. It was like $200 because it was custom painted to look like, you know, the original Nintendo controllers, and you know, I mean, it was a custom, you know, it's one of those things that this company's only going to make, you know, like just so many of these things. So, you know, it's like a $200 controller. It's like, oh, must be, and, you know, there were some people that were tweeting this like, oh, that YouTube money sure is paying off for you, isn't it? He's like, what does YouTube have to do with that? B, why do you care where I spend my money so much? And, you know, some of the comments were, that's, you're paying $200 for a $40 controller. That's ludicrous and ridiculous. He's like, no, I'm paying $200 for a custom collector's edition of this controller that I'm going to use anyway. This is what I collect. This is a hobby of mine, and I'm willing to spend my own hard-earned money on it and pay people for this piece of art and collector's memorabilia. That has nothing to do with the original cost of the controller.
Yeah, I see people like that. I hear about people like that, and my always thought is like, well, are you gonna complain if they like went and bought a car that had a custom paint job?
He brought that up. He's like, you know, this is a hobby. You wouldn't bat an eye if I were to go out and spend, you know, $60,000 on a brand new car. No one would care because it's a car. That's what they cost.
Yeah, so, people.
But because you are not willing to spend the money on on this $200 custom paint job, doesn't mean I'm not willing to spend my own hard-earned money in whatever way I please on this $200 controller.
Indeed. I mean, whatever makes them happy in a way. I mean, yeah. I look at it like I customize a lot of my things. I mean, just not to the point where I'm literally breaking warranties and whatnot. I actually just remembered seeing someone actually taking their Switch controllers and whatnot, and like when it's in a handheld, it looks really fancy as a like Zelda theme. They like replace the plastic outer casing with like wood, so they're like wooden now. The joysticks look a lot better when they replace them with... I mean, they literally custom made like the buttons and everything. They just turned it into wood.
See, and that's one of those things that if I had the money, time, and skill to do something like that, I totally would. I don't. And if I had the money, I'd probably pay someone else to do it for me. Because that's freaking cool.
Indeed. I mean, if I had money, I would do it. I would love to do a lot of this stuff too. I mean, considering I get creative as hell a lot of the times. Like, let's take Evie's the example of like, oh, I can't use Moose Heart anymore. I just pulled it out, whipped out paint, and just did that little pixel art thing. Like, while looking at that little Moose Heart, I'm like, I know it's not the same, but yeah, here you go. Here's a Moose Heart.
Yeah, see, and again, that's something that
And I actually made it that way because if it was exact, then people would get on my ass. Like, I just basically copied and ripped whatever. But it's not exact, and if she wanted to throw it on a shirt like I was showing, it's like, yeah, you could put it on a shirt or, a bag or a coffee cup or whatever. Because there's custom places, and she's like the only one I know that actually makes a decent amount of money.
Oh, among us anyway.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm also working on something else for her, although it's going to take a little bit while because she wants something that's technically not available in current game at the moment, but she wants something drawn of it. So it's hard for me to get screenshots of it because everything I get is like low resolution YouTube videos.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, this tune's kind of done for tonight. Move on to something else.